The strategic group at Health Decisions was put together to help clients think about how to design studies from the very beginning. One of the problems I think we face as an industry is that you've got interests of the CRO which are not aligned with those of the sponsor. If CRO's compensation is based on time and materials, then their incentives tend not to be the same as what you would prefer as a sponsor. So one of the elements of the design group is to allow us to define goals that are in common with both the sponsor and the CRO. These capabilities also begin changing the relationship with the sponsor and the CRO as an organization. One example of this is a project we currently have running. This is for a large multinational trial that's very big. It's far and away the largest of its type that's ever been run. But the unusual thing about this is two things. First, it's a fixed price study. That means we get a certain number of dollars to do this study. If it runs shorter, we gain some of the rewards from that. If it runs longer, then it costs us more money. So there's incentive for us to finish this early. The second element is that there's actually a more discrete incentive for us, in that if we finish this early, we actually get to share in some of the sales for this. So this kind of relationship aligns the interests of the CRO directly with those of the sponsor and creates a structure where we both want to get this thing done quickly, well, and out to the market. There are three elements you need. I think the first is becoming quite recognized within the industry. It's adaptive design. I think most companies, especially big companies, are beginning to do a little bit of this. The other element that I think is very little recognized is adaptive efficiencies for how the study is actually done. These are operational adaptations. And the third element, which is also critical, is a technology which allows streaming performance metrics from the sites that allows us the information that we need as managers to effectively know what to do to correct a problem. Adaptive techniques fundamentally allow earlier, better decisions. That's primarily based on the availability of more information, of better quality, earlier in the process than is otherwise possible. That in turn has a couple of important implications. The first is that it gives you a continuous sense of checkpoints along the way, and when we find that there are things that shouldn't be being done, like strategies that aren't working very well, we can stop those along the way. The other element is that it changes the whole development process into a much more continuous process. It does that in two ways. One is that it condenses, it shortens the traditional phases. The other one is that it actually gets rid of the space between those phases. And ultimately, it begins to blur the whole distinction between phases, making a single continuous process. Another example of these capabilities is how they change the staffing model. Right now, there's a pyramidal structure with a lot of people out in the field, but the technology actually allows us to do most of what's currently done in the field by the industry centrally by a team. So that ends up being a great reduction in the labor, but it also actually gives us a faster flow of information that's much more accurate and much more actionable because it's used by a team. In the end, this cuts the staffing down by about 35% over a traditional model.